Hello students, today we're doing lesson 7.10, Systems of Inequalities. So on this one we're going to be graphing, and we're going to be graphing inequalities the same way we did before, but instead of having just one inequality, we're going to have two inequalities to graph. So let's go ahead and get started with an example. So example 1, we're going to have 3x plus y is greater than 4. And x minus y is less than or equal to 8. So remember, when you're graphing, you need to be just looking at it like this is an equal sign when you're starting out the graphing, right? So I can either do a t-chart with these or slope-intercept form. So I'm going to pick two different things. On my first one, this one, I'm going to do slope-intercept form. So in order to do that, I'm going to change it to where y is by itself, right? So I get y is greater than negative 3x plus 4. Okay, actually, I'm sorry, I said this wrong. When you're doing inequalities, you have to change them into slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and change this one also. Okay, so actually, let's see, how can I do this? I'll just do it right here. I'm going to subtract x on both sides, so I get negative y is less than or equal to negative x plus 8. And then I need to get rid of this negative. You can't have a negative y. So in order to do that, I divide by negative 1 all the way across. And remember, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip your sign. So make sure that you do that. And then that makes this a positive x, and it makes the 8 a negative 8. So now I have these two problems to graph. Remember, you have to put them in slope-intercept form because that makes the inequality sign in the right location. If you don't have it in slope-intercept form, then you might shade the wrong way. Okay, so now I'm going to shade these. I kind of know where this is going on the graph, so when I make my graph, I'm going to put most of it in the fourth quadrant, okay? Okay, so my first, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I needed this a little bit bigger. Let me just erase those two. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Nope, I need it a little bit bigger, sorry. Here we go. I might need to make that a little bit farther down. Okay, so I'm graphing this one first. So I have a y-intercept of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then negative 3. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and across here. I'm just going to do that again. Okay, so there's my first line. Oops, I started doing it with a solid line without looking at my inequality sign. So I have a greater than, so that means it's going to be a dashed line. Oh, I should have gotten my ruler out because that's a super crooked line. Make sure that you're using your ruler. And this says greater than, so I'm going to shade this way because that's above the line. Okay, for the second one, I'm going to put this one in blue. I have my, so right here, I have my slope, my y-intercept of negative 8. So I do need to make this line go a little bit lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and I'm going to do this one in blue. So there's my negative 8. And then my slope is 1. So I'm going to go up 1 and over 1. And I'm just going to do that a couple of times. Okay, I'm seeing that this line needs to be extended a little bit. See, I knew that my graph was not quite big enough here. Okay, now back to this line. Now this line has a greater than or equal to, so I'm going to have a solid line on this one. Okay, and this is greater than or equal to, so this is what I shade for that line. So see, this was the blue one, right? And then the one above it is the green one. So my answer for my systems of inequality is the spot where they both are shaded. So right in here, you can see that they're both shaded, right? Let me erase that a little bit. Okay, so I want you to look. So down here, there's only green, right? And right here, there's only blue. But right here, both of the colors are there, the green and the blue. So that is actually my answer. And so when you're doing this, when you're graphing this, I want you to shade both the green and the blue. You can do it with a pencil, but where they're both shaded should be darker, right? So this part, and you can even shade it like with more blue or more green. You don't have to do colors. You can do just your pencil, but make sure that it's darker in the spot where they're both crossing, because that is your answer. Those are all the points. Any point in this area right here is going to match up with both of those equations. Okay, and that's how you do these problems today, is you're going to graph two inequalities, and just wherever they match up, wherever they come together, is where you will have your answer. Okay, so let's do one more. In fact, you can do this one on your own. I'm going to do example 2. And we are going to do x is less than -1. And x plus 2 is greater than or equal to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, let me rephrase that. Sorry, I didn't have these ready. Okay, x plus y is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, so there's my two equations. I'm actually going to rewrite them with color. So x is less than -1, and x plus y is greater than or equal to 2. That way, that's the ones I'm going to graph. I'm going to graph the first one in green and the second one in blue. Okay, so the first one I cannot put into slope-intercept form. We're going to talk about graphing that one in a minute. But the second one I can. I'm going to subtract -x, and I get y is greater than or equal to -x plus 2. So remember, this is the y-intercept here, and this in front is the slope, and that is a -1, right? Okay, so let's graph these. I'm going to go ahead and put my graph in black. I think I know how this graph is going to end up. So hopefully I'll do it correctly this time. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph the blue one. Nope, let's graph the green one. I'm sorry. Okay, so x is less than -1. So some of y'all might have forgotten how to graph when it says x equals a number or y equals a number. Remember, you're going to graph this like it's an equal sign, and then you shade it by what the inequality says. So if this was x equals -1, I want you to find where x equals -1. So remember, this is x-intercept, and this would be -1, correct? So if I was graphing this, all my points need to be x equals -1. Well, x is -1 here, and x is -1 here. So this is actually a vertical line. Anytime you have x equals a number, it's a vertical line. And because I have less than here, I'm going to make it a dotted or dashed vertical line. Okay? And now and then I need to shade. Well, it's less than, and this is a vertical line, so you can't tell which one is top or bottom. Well, less than is going to be on the left. So this is my shading for that first one. Okay, and then let's do the second one. The second one, I have a y-intercept of 2, and my slope is -1. So that means I go up 1 and over to the left 1. Okay, and I could do that a couple times. This is going to be a solid line because it's greater than or equal to. And then I'm going to shade above. So looking at those two graphs, can you see where the green and the blue, intersect? And I'm going to show you in red. So this spot right here, this little triangle, is where those two intersect. So this is all your answers are in this little triangle. Of course, if I had a bigger graph, the shading would be a lot bigger, right? So if those lines kept extending, then my triangle would be really big. There's lots of numbers above that are shaded. Okay, so that's the way you do it. I forgot to tell y'all to hit pause, but go ahead and you're gonna have 5 practice problems for homework. So if you have any problems with that, make sure that you let me know so I can help you with it. Okay, that's it for today.